Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys I've got some exciting data to share with you in the terms of who is buying and who is selling BTC. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will not miss another video update here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and it is the first place that we go to notify you of everything that is going on in the crypto space. Keep a finger on the pulse of crypto by joining us down in the Discord server. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to keep this one nice and snappy, but got to go through a lot of information. So with all that said, let's just get straight into it, right? So let's jump down here. Okay, so straight into the desktop. I think it's worth just noting that we are finding ourselves up in this upper area of resistance. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you where this currently sits at the moment. My interesting area is actually a little lower. I'm looking specifically here. But I think we can probably refine this a little bit more, right, most recently. So we can kind of see that this is the area that we were kind of finding ourselves moving into and kind of getting rejected from quite a bit. But if we go ahead and refine it, we can kind of see right up here, we have another area of interest right in here. So this basically is 21,300 to 21,478 approximately. You can kind of see it in there. Now this particular area up here, the 21,557 to 21,774, is still the obvious area for a move. Okay, it's obvious because we kind of have three waves that could potentially move up in this particular direction. This is also something though that might not actually come into fruition, and we may actually break on down a little bit lower. And so when we take a look at the current movements here, in fact I'll take this wick high here, we can see that there is a potential move down towards 20,675, and that would still make this a B wave move coming down lower, but there would be an internal wave count in here that would basically look like this. If I can click on the right button there we go. One up here for wave B and then coming down here into wave C. So you can kind of see that there is this kind of low level, what we should be kind of thinking about down here around the 20,675. I'm just going to adjust my line here until we get into the exact dollar level, which would be right about there. It's actually 25, so 20,675.25 on the fib level there. And so I'm just draw that in there. There we go. Okay, well, I'll remove this. So in a nutshell, we're actually kind of trading sideways here, and I do think there's a lot more potential to the downside. We also have a subwave count going up here, which means we potentially may not have finished this B wave. It could push up a little bit further, again up into this upper area of resistance, this slightly darker yellow area or lighter yellow area just here. So do be prepared that maybe there's a small fluctuation to the upside before we do move down, but down seems to be the obvious area for BTC on these kind of smaller time frames, and then a move to the upside after that. So volatility to be expected around here, I do expect. Now, obviously on our stochastic RSI, we're nice and high. So again, we're looking for maybe a little bit of a push to the upside before we do retrace down. On the 4 hourly, we're oversold. 8 hourly, we're oversold, but we're overbought on the weekly and the daily. And we will talk about those in a moment on the larger time frames. Now, before I get into talking more about the kind of larger time frames, I think it's important that we actually jump down into the data of on-chain metrics, specifically wallet counts. Now here we have Bitcoin holders. They hold over 1 Bitcoin. Okay, so that could be 10,000 Bitcoin, or it could just be 1 Bitcoin. This is a wallet count for all of those holders. All right, anything more than 1 BTC. This is the time frame of 2018's bear market. You can kind of see it right in here. And I speak about this a lot, right? Because the expectation is that we see these shrimp wallets, these retail wallets kind of selling off, right? Selling their Bitcoin as the price kind of comes down into those final lows, right? They sell into the bottom, essentially, right? After buying up every dip known to man, because every moon boy under the sun on Twitter is telling you that the bear market is over and the bull market started, whether that was June or whether that is November, whatever it was, right? So here in 2018, you can see a very similar kind of pattern. They thought this was the bottom. They thought this was the bottom. They thought this was the bottom. By this point here, they get fed up and they sell off into the actual lows after spending all their money on the more expensive BTC. This is important because at the same time as that is going on, you do of course see that this is where all of the larger 1,000 Bitcoin wallets are buying up. So the Bitcoin whales, right? The Bitcoin whales will buy during this period. Now, why am I talking about this right now? I'm talking about this right now because our actual data indicated on the current timeframes are very encouraging. Let's take a look at the retail wallets. The retail wallets are basically krill, shrimp, dolphins over 0.1 Bitcoin, over 1 Bitcoin, and over 10 Bitcoin. And the similar piece of data here is that retail has been starting to liquidate their assets into this move to the upside, at least moving their Bitcoin to the exchanges to be liquidated if they haven't yet sold. You can see a decrease in the wallets here, you can see a decrease in the wallets over here, and you can see a decrease in the wallets over this side as well. Now, it's really early stages, but this is kind of what we're expecting. We're expecting retail to sell their assets, and we're expecting whale influencers, or influence isn't the right word, whale institutional investors and just billionaires and multimillionaires to be buying up the BTC from the retail money. Okay, that's essentially what we're looking for here. So this is giving me encouragement to say that we might be finally starting that period of time where accumulation happens at the wealthier side, and basically retail starts selling off their assets. Okay, so it gives me encouragement to think that we might be finally moving in the right direction. Okay, now when we take a look at the whale side wallet, what do we see? Well, we start to see a bit of an increase. Okay, there's no change on the Kraken, we'll talk about that separately, but we can start to see that there's a little bit more of a move to the upside here as those retailers are selling, the whales are buying. You can also see there's a slight dip here as well on the sharks, which means solely all of that retail money that has been, or Bitcoin that had been liquidated, had flowed into one particular direction, which is fantastic. So for the most part, looking pretty good, and I'm pretty encouraged by what I see here in terms of BTC. So for now, this is a good kind of step forward, right? We can take a look at what kind of the shrimps or the one Bitcoiners were doing during 2022, and kind of looking at every kind of dip under the sun as a potential dip, and really now we're seeing this kind of major move downwards. It's still very early, but we haven't seen any kind of fluctuation to this degree during the rest of this bear market. So now with that kind of narrative that we're bull market is starting, we're starting to see actually retailers liquidating their assets here. I want to see this continue. I do want to see, essentially the retail sell-off so that the whales can come in, because only until the whales have come in are we going to be confident that that the price action is going to be moving in a positive direction. Until big money is in, don't expect us to kind of be going to a moon anytime soon, essentially. Okay, so kind of cautious on it a little bit, but for the most part, this is potentially the beginning of something pretty impressive. You can kind of see here that we might finally be starting to see a deviation. Now, it is early stages. We've seen this before. Okay, it isn't the first time we've seen these kind of movements before another mass sell-off. So again, we want to be a little bit cautious about it, but it gives me encouragement to see things finally moving in that right direction. So yeah, let's move back into the charts. You can kind of see that the B wave has moved up a little bit higher right now, and so looking to keep an eye on that. I would say that this invalidation, or the move to the downside, would be invalidated if we cross higher than 21,467, just there on the hourly chart. Let's move up to the daily though, because I do want to talk about, actually while I'm here, I'll just remove these off, is that we are above the daily 200 EMA as well, right? So this is actually a pretty positive thing. If we can confirm and stay above the 200 EMA on the daily, then we're confirming trend from a traditional market perspective, to the upside. So we could potentially be flipping from bearish to bullish under this particular scenario. However, it is worth noting that it's only the daily EMA of 200, and we have broken above this before, only to come crumbling back down afterwards. So again, we have the March highs up here. So a lot of this can be kind of faked out a little bit. It's not the first time we've crossed this level. So really paying attention to what happens here is going to be key, whether or not we're going to hold this area, confirm it as a support level or not. I don't think we will, because on these macro timeframes, we are overbought. Now, not only are we overbought on a stochastic RSI, if I bring up our regular RSI, we do have bearish divergence. Okay, and I am looking to see us kind of break above this point here as well, so we can confirm bearish divergence. Actually, not bearish divergence here, because we want to make sure that that's an interesting kind of level. What we want to find is to see whether or not this can be considered bullish within this area, but bearish across these other highs. So, for example, we do have this interesting zone, right, where we set up a lower high here, yet our relative strength index, even from all the way over here, has been trending on the upside, right? That would be bearish, right? But this is a major deviation, so this could be a positive if treated, or if we can find good support and we can kind of really rally from here. I'm not optimistic at this point, because as I said, those retail investors are looking to sell here. So if the retail investors are selling, the price is probably going to pull back down, and or maybe even just trade sideways. It could be possible that the bottom is in, but we haven't seen the transfer of wealth between participants just yet. So we're waiting to kind of see how the price action does react. Now, there are some fundamental things happening in the space that we should also be aware of. There's lots of different things that we can need to kind of consider. The other thing to bear in mind is there would be bearish divergence if we do break up above 21,467. So we could come up here a little bit higher, and the volume stays lower, then that would also be bearish divergence. So we want to be a little bit aware of a few of these things. But I am encouraged by the data of what I'm seeing, to think that, you know, I'm not saying that the bottom isn't in. I'm just saying it's unlikely that the bottom is in until we start seeing those transfers between the whales and, of course, the shrimps, right? So we're looking for retail investors to sell their Bitcoin to those larger billionaires, millionaires, institutional investors. And until that happens, it's hard to be confident. Now, if we have started this journey, then it's possible that we come and revisit these lows around 15K, maybe just one more dip a little bit lower. That's also possible. It would be interesting to kind of see the structure. Overall, on the daily chart, I'm not optimistic because it does, to me, look corrective. We are not trending to the upside. Even if we do cross this 200 EMA on the daily, it doesn't give us a trend according to Elliott-Wave theory. So as I come up into our our weekly chart, it's also probably really important that we actually note that we still have that death cross looming, okay? So whilst this death cross is potentially looming, it's also going to be deemed negative, and that could also drag the price to the downside. Being overbought on this weekly time frame as well, last time we were up in anywhere near this kind of area, we were much higher in price. Now we are breaking above these other local highs. This could be all a big trap, in my opinion, unless we kind of break up higher than $25,000. I'm going to label this right here. 25,211. Unless we can break above this area, I'm not happy with what we've done with the structure to the downside. This can all be corrective B wave as far as I'm concerned on our weekly time frame, and we would still be looking for new lower lows on the weekly. So just kind of bear these things in mind. I'm confident that we're not like trending down, like an Elliott-Wave theory trend to the downside would be pretty brutal. We're not seeing that. So I am pretty happy that it's corrective to the downside, but I'm not happy thinking that we're done with the lows just yet. I do think retracements are going to have to happen here. I am looking for transfers of wealth between retail investors and whale investors. I'm looking for basically retail to sell off their assets, and only then will we start seeing whale investors really accumulating. So once that happens, and it can take a couple of months for that to complete and play out, I'm not optimistic thinking that we are going to be pushing up terribly too much higher. All of this, of course, is driven from the DXY, and as the DXY drops down, we're seeing cryptocurrencies push up, and of course the DXY is looking for a bit of a push to the upside on its macros. So from a macro standpoint, the DXY is actually looking kind of ready for a bit of a run upwards, and that there could potentially be the end of this kind of, you know, bear market rally for BTC. Be optimistic when we can, but you know, for the most part, it doesn't look overly promising on these larger timeframes. So I'm going to leave this video right there, just a brief update on what's going on with the underlying data of BTC. I am encouraged to see some retail investors starting to lock in profits or just kind of come out of their positions on Bitcoin in the hope of new lower lows, and we're starting to see whale investors buying up that Bitcoin from those retail investors. That's going to take some time. It's not going to be a quick thing. I would expect it to be several months. Say several, that's subjective. So we'll say at least 2 to 3 months for that accumulation period to occur. If that is starting now, it's still a long shot that is starting. So just kind of bear these things in mind. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Join us in Discord, guys, and until the next one, have a fantastic day.